Good day and welcome to another broadcast of Venture Capital Inc. Today I want to introduce you to a very new topic, and that topic is good debt cash flow for business leaders. And I promise that today's program is going to be very exciting. We're going to be looking into the belly of what is good debt and how to cash flow good debt and for your business, and how to develop a better, smarter corporate brand. The first question that I would like you to ask yourself is, what is good debt? Now, good debt is a debt that pays you. It doesn't only pay you, but it is a debt that you're able to cash flow way beyond the cost of that debt. And if you're in business, you're quite familiar with the system. You may not necessarily know it has good debt, but you're quite familiar with the system. And this is how it works. Normally, what you do, you may go to the commercial bank, you may go to the investment bank, or you may leverage smart capital market to raise capital to put into your business. And once you're going to these markets, it simply means that you are buying a debt and you are leveraging that debt to cash flow your business. Now, in most cases, or in all cases, when you go to the commercial bank, you have to reach the pre-qualification criteria to get the bank loan. In order for you to get good debt from the bank, or debt in the first place from the bank, you need to get or reach the pre-qualification criteria. What we're going to talk about today is what makes a debt really good debt and what makes a debt bad debt. What we will look at mainly today is how to predetermine whether your debt is a good debt or a bad debt, or how to predetermine whether or not if your debt is a good debt. So we look at that today. So you already know from previous broadcasts what are the pre-qualifications that the commercial financial sector may ask for. In the event that you would have missed out on those programs, let me quickly say, when you go into the commercial banks for funding, in most cases, or all cases, they will ask you to demonstrate that you have a positive bank balance. And in most cases, that positive bank balance has to be demonstrated by the equity that you're going to be putting into the sum that you're asking for. Now, in the event that you ask for $20 million, the bank may ask you to put 10% equity in that. So 10% equity means that you would have to have a positive bank balance of about $1 million and above, because that would have to take into consideration legal fees and other documentation costs. So you need to at least have like $2.5 million in your bank account, or access to $2.5 million. That's the first thing. The second thing that you would need to do is to clearly demonstrate that you have cash flow, meaning that you have daily, weekly, and monthly cash flow. And you have enough of it to be able to honor your monthly obligation to the financial institution. This is absolutely necessary. Now, along with this, you would have to demonstrate that you are creditworthy, meaning that the credit info or the credit bureau, the bank will ask your permission to liaison with the credit info unit to check your track record, to check your history, your payment history, to allow them to predetermine how you are able to manage that from your previous debt portfolios or your existing monthly debt payments. Now, this information can be drawn from a number of sources. If you take out credit from a furniture store and those persons submit your data based on how you're paying, credit info will have that information. If you're paying water bill, light bill, telephone bill, information can be extracted from all of these things that will allow the financial institution to make an informed and educated decision as to whether or not you are a good candidate to get credit. The other thing that the financial institution will look for is age. And I would normally say the moment you hit the age of 45, it limits the life cycle of your debt. And when you limit the life cycle of your debt, it simply means that you have to pay down much more on a monthly basis to complete the debt life cycle much earlier. These are things that we will go into with you later on. Along with this, you may have to have some kind of collateral in some cases to demonstrate or to put it as some form of security for the debt in which you're borrowing. Now, depending on if you're taking out a residential or you're taking a debt that can be tied to asset class, those asset classes may also be leveraged as collateral. So these are just some of the pre-qualification criteria that you will have to consider when you're going to the bank to take a debt. When you go into the investment financial sector, there's a different set of criteria that you will have to reach in order to achieve financing from the investment financial sector. And you need to know this. Long before you go to these institutions, you need to know this. And in most cases, when you do not know this and you go to the bank or the investment financial sector, and you see the list of pre-qualification criteria, a list of requirements, sometimes those things frustrate you and you tend to give up. That is not the time to give up. That's perhaps the time to consult with a professional financial advisor, get a personal financial advisor, and let them help you navigate through this entire process. So I'm trusting that if you have a financial advisor and you're not satisfied, I want to encourage you to reach out to Venture Capital Inc. Reach out to Global Branding and Marketing. And we have a team of subject matter experts there to work with you. So let's get a little more deeper into this. You are going to create a debt. You know what's a debt. You know what's good debt. Good debt is when you take a debt and you cash flow that debt, and you cash flow it way beyond the cost of that debt. And for instance, you take a debt of $20 million. You're expected to pay 10% per annum for 20 years. That simply means that every year you're expected to pay $1 million. You divide $1 million by 12 months, you may perhaps end up with about $80,000, and in the Caribbean dollars. And now it simply means that you're going to be cash flowing that debt above $85,000 a month and above $1 million a year. If you can cash flow that debt in $2 and $3 million a year or $4 million per year, it simply means that you are earning 3 times the amount of the debt. And that means that you can save 75% of your gain from that debt. This is all smart leverage. And of course, there are smart portfolios out there that you can actually leverage to make this happen. When you work with us, our professional financial advisors, our personal financial advisors, we work with you to help you to understand some of these systems. Now, what I'm going to talk about now is what I call a system that we use to predetermine whether your debt is a good debt or a bad debt. And you need to understand this. So we're going to call this 4 steps to predetermine good debt. 4 steps to predetermine good debt. Step 1, we're going to call it cash flow and income projection. Now, when you're starting any business, you need to do your income projection. And the projection simply is a projection of financial figures, a projection of income that your investment is likely to generate. Now, the projection in itself is not to be done in isolation with market realities, and we'll talk about that just now. You just don't pull figures from anywhere in the sky and just say, this is the financial projection for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. That financial projection must be based on market dynamics and market realities, and you need to know this. A professional financial advisor will work with you to help you to understand this. Your marketing subject matter expert will help you to clearly define this. And in the event you have one and you're not fully satisfied, get a PFA from Venture Capital Inc. or Global Branding and Marketing. So we talk first of all about step 1, and step 1 is to look at the cash flow and income projection. Step 2 is what we call cash flow and expenditure projection. It's important for you to understand both what is the administrative cost and to cash flow that debt and what's the operational cost. Now, in the event that you have a business and you have a physical location, you have people in-house that are doing the work, you need to put an accurate administrative cost, all right, to run this operation. And you need the operational cost to also run the operation. And those are figures that you should know, because it is by having an income projection cash flow, it is by having the expenditure projection cash flow or cash deductible. This is what will bring you to what we call the NOI, or net operating cash flow. And you need to know this. You're able to know the annual profits that you can make, and after you would have deducted both your operational expenses and the admin expenses. You need to know that. All of these things are things that you need to take into consideration to be able to predetermine whether or not that debt is a good or bad debt. This has might sound very average to many persons, but I want to say there are many persons that takes a debt without having a clear assessment as to the cost to cash flow that debt to make it a positive income cash flow. Many persons do this all the time. Our mission is to ensure that we provide you with a content of information that prevents you from making these kind of mistakes. The 4th step that I want us to look at here is positive cash flow and ROI. The ROI means return on investment. Now, there's a difference between the NOI and the ROI. Now, the NOI may reflect the positive income cash flow for the year. But remember, although you're having positive income cash flow for the year, it does not reflect the return on the investment, because in most cases you will be able to measure the return on the investment after you would have completely paid off that debt completely, which we call the ROI. But there are mathematical approaches that you can use on an annual basis to be able to deduct some information in terms of your ROI, which we call the return on investment. And these are some technical areas of financial management that we will go into you when you come into one of our masterclass. So these 4 steps are things that you should keep at the front and center of your mind as you start thinking about debt and how to create debt and how to manage debt. In our portfolio, it's not just about creating that debt. You need to know how to cash flow that debt to make it positive cash flow. And that again is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of debt management and financial management. We'll look at some of that today. The next thing that I want us to look at is what we call the market analytics. Remember earlier, and I would have said that your income projection is not about pulling figures out of the sky. And you said, this is my financial figure, and I pull this from mid-air, cloud 9. To arrive at what we call accurate financial projections, you need to be able to do your market analytics. And what exactly do I mean by market analytics? One of the first that you need to do when you're doing your market analytics is to be able to identify your target market. This is ground zero. You need to know who are your potential customers, and you need to invest time really understanding why these people are likely to become potential and existing customers, why they are potential, and how they can become existing customers. The next thing that you need to do, step 2, is to be able to go to the ground and invest your time, your talent, and resources to understand the needs and wants and expectations of your target market, of the potential target market. You need to ensure that you're sharp enough in doing this. And can you imagine that you're taking $100 million from the bank and you're starting a business without knowing who your target market is or are, and without knowing their needs, wants, and expectations? If you don't get that money, it is because you're not ready to access those monies. When you have these kind of information and you're making a pitch to a venture capitalist, you stand a much better chance at succeeding because you understand your financials, you understand your figures. And it is based on market reality. This is based on market analytics. And you need to put yourself in that position of strength where you have this kind of information. So step 1 in market analytics, we say identify your target market. Be certain that you know your target market. Step 2, be certain that you understand your target market needs, wants, and expectation. You know their lifestyle, culture, and social class. You need to know this. Step 3, you also want to know your market size, your market density, and your market dispersion. Why is this necessary? You cannot arrive at your financials, accurate financials, if you do not know your market size, your market density, and your market dispersion. If you're coming up with financial figures for your business and you do not know this, it simply means that you are guessing. In business, you need to avoid doing guesswork by all means possible. Get the skin in the game, get the right information, or get a mentor or coach, your financial advisors, your business consultant to work with you to get accurate information. Perhaps this is one of the reasons also why over 50% of businesses that get started fail within the first 5 years, because you don't have this kind of critical market intelligence. You need it to be able to make informed and educated decisions in terms of how to navigate the business world. So you need to understand size, you need to understand density, you need to understand your market dispersion, how your market, your specific target market, are positioned geographically. You need to know that. The fourth step that I want us to talk about is to identify market viability based on market size. You want to identify the market viability based on the market size. This, again, is very important. You need to know that you're going into an area of business and it's going to be viable based on the market size. And I want to say this to you, there are many businesses out there that they're operating and they're not viable. And many of them are saying that they do not have luck to do business. The fact may not be that. The fact may simply be that you do not have enough information about your market to make informed and educated decisions about the market. That market might be saturated. That market might be overcompensated. That market may not be accommodating and enabling. But these are things, when you're doing your market analytics, you will be able to predetermine these things. And in predetermining these things, you will be able to make an educated business decision. You need to know that you're in that position of strength. So to navigate the world of business, navigate this area of business. And I want to give you a typical example when we talk about identifying market viability based on market size. Now, you would have heard me say before that in the United States of America alone, we have a little over 100 million persons that are living with hypertension, and that is high blood pressure. Let us suppose that you are building a business and building a brand to provide products and services to this specific target market. How can you predetermine the viability of this market? Now let's look at it. You have 100 million persons that need a particular product or a service, and they're willing to pay $20 US for this product. You know what this means? It simply means that 100 million multiplied by $20 US in dollar value represents about $2 billion per month. $2 billion per month, and that's $2 billion US per month. So this is some of the information that you need to predetermine if it's going to be a viable sector. The demand for the product is high because people's livelihood depends on people's service in this industry. So if you can generate $2 billion US per month, it means on an annual basis you can generate 24 billion US dollars. And this is only in the United States of America alone. This is telling you that this market has tremendous potential. A little below 25% of the American economy uses this product. So you can use this demand and assess the viability of the market. But of course, this is not all. You need to identify market competition. And in identifying the market competition, you want to look at your 5 strongest competitors in that market. You need to know this, because you can clearly see that the market is a $24 billion annual earner. But you may have strong players in the market that has already built confidence, trust, and credibility in the eyes of the consumers. And for you to penetrate that may not be the easiest thing. So here is where you will have to do what we call your SWOT analysis In the event that you can do it again, is another reason why we say get your consultant, get your mentor, your coach, your business mentor, your business coach, your financial advisors to help you through these things. The SWOT analysis means that you will be able to look at strengths of your competition, weaknesses of your competition, opportunities in the market, and threats. This definitely would allow you the kind of information that you need to perhaps become innovative in differentiating your products and services that you want to introduce to that market. You need to do that, absolutely necessary. So I'm saying to you, I don't want you to get lost with everything that I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you is that before you take a debt, you want to know all of this, because it is by knowing all of this that will literally allow you to understand if that debt is going to be a positive cash flow. And from everything that I'm saying to you so far, you can actually assess that this market is going to be good. You need to know in your area of business, and you're doing that kind of market analysis. You have your professional financial advisors, personal financial advisors, your business consultants that are working with you to help you to see all of this and predetermine this before you create a debt. Now, again, you want the market to be in your, going to that market, you want to identify the market potential to accommodate you and enable your vision. Competition, knowing your competition, doing your SWOT analysis can aid you in this process. All right. So far we look at three things. We look at definition of good debt. We look at 4 steps to predetermine whether your debt is a good debt or a bad debt, or 4 steps to predetermine good debt. We also look at market analytics. Now we're going to look at negotiate customer buy-in. And you need to be able to negotiate customer buy-in before you take the debt. It may sound like a very tough exercise, but you want to know that you know that you can cash flow the debt before you create the debt. Don't just get emotionally involved when you're going to take a debt, and this is what most people do. You hear that you can access some capital, and by simply hearing that you can access the capital, you get all emotionally involved in it. And you take that debt and you mismanage that debt. And then you say, I got to pay it back. Why me? You start to stress yourself up. You raise your blood pressure. And you're only adding to the statistics of the millions of people around the world who die every year from high blood pressure. You know, high blood pressure leads to kidney problems. It leads to stroke. It leads to heart attack. And you literally buy these things by some of the decisions that you make. All right, and our mission is to ensure that you don't make these decisions, these bad decisions, that is going to affect your health, down-regulate your energy, and give you stress. So you want to know how to negotiate this debt before you buy this debt. And how do you do this? I'm going to give you some hints. I'm not going to go into the details. There's something that we call high-profile referral. And there's a face to that. High-profile referral. It's a unique way of negotiating with your potential customers. There's something that we call high-profile testimonies. Another unique way in which you could influence potential customers. You have celebrity branding, and you must understand what we call the dashmar of advertising to apply some of these systems that we are talking about. Money back guarantee. These are all unique systems that you can leverage in negotiating with your potential customers before you take that debt. There's something that we call free sampling. Free sampling. And this free sampling reminds me of this. I know many persons might be saying, how do I get the sample if I don't have the money? I would say to young entrepreneurs, if you're now starting and you tell yourself that you need bank financing to start your business, for over 90% of businesses that I know, if you need bank financing to start your business, you're not ready to do business. Your first cash flow should be coming from your potential customers, because this is what's going to literally test if there's a demand for your product. It's going to test your sales and marketing skills. It's going to test your negotiation skills. It's going to test your ability to cash flow your ideas. And when you go to the ground and do all of this and you come to me as a venture capitalist, I'm more inclined and willing to work with you because you have enough skin in the game to know the dynamics of your market. You don't come to me, you're literally green, you know nothing about the market, and you want massive financial input. I'm not saying in all cases, but I'm saying in over 90% of the cases, you can get started without bank financing. And if you don't know how, again, I want to encourage you to reach out to us and we will show you how you can do this. So at the end of the day, you're debt free. You can sleep better at night. All right. You can sleep early at night. And that means you're going to be raising your melatonin. And that should translate into a serotonin, where you have high energy level the next day. You're happy, you don't have stress. The last thing that we're going to look at here is what we call first-time customer cash incentive. These are all innovative approaches that you can use to negotiate with potential customers. And you need to know how to use these systems to make a debt good debt. You need to understand it. Now, as I said, all of this is nice, but I'm going to put some icing on the cake now. Now, you understand how to cash flow a debt. The ability to cash flow the debt is only one arm of doing business when it comes to financial intelligence. You see, it is equally important for you to understand business intelligence as it is for you to understand financial intelligence. The next foot here is where you have that debt. And I would say to people, your debt has a natural metamorphosis. And that metamorphosis goes like debt principal cost, debt interest rate, debt life cycle, debt monthly cost, debt annual cost, debt cost over the life cycle. Now, there is tremendous amount of financial intelligence that needs to be had here. Because if you cannot manage this area of your debt, it simply means that you're going to be losing millions of dollars. All right. In our system, we will show you how to manage that debt portfolio. There's systems that we will introduce you that we call debt lifecycle reduction strategy or debt reduction strategies. And here you will learn about velocity banking. You will learn about wholesale debt reduction strategies and a number of other unique systems that literally helps you to mitigate that debt. All right. In most cases, you have a debt, you're paying 10% on, let's say, a debt of $20 million. You're paying this over a 20-year period, or you have a $10 million debt that you're paying 10% per annum over a 20-year period. It simply means that for that 20 years, you're paying $20 million, which means the debt principal is $10 million and the debt cost is $10 million. Can you reduce your debt cost? Yes, you can. But you need to work with the right PFA, professional financial advisors, personal financial advisors, to help you navigate this process. So I'm going to stop here for today because I have to run to some other meetings today. But I want to encourage you to look at this program and ensure that you are committing enough time to understand the content, because this content is for every business across the world. And I'm certain that the information here can really help you to make better business decisions. Remember, if you're looking at this program for the first time and you have never liked or subscribed to this program, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share this information within your network to help us, populate the information and to reach as much people as possible. I would certainly love that, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart in advance for helping us to grow this YouTube channel. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the multiple best-selling author for several books, including Billionaire Codes and Manager's Toolkit. I don't know why, but I just like holding these two books to my face. Perhaps it makes me look a little bit more handsome. Okay, so remember, you can get a copy of these books online. You can log on to our sister company, which is www.megamoneygy.com, and you can make a purchase online. You can also inbox me direct, and I will be able to get how much copy of these books that you need to scale, diversify, and expand your business ideas into local, regional, and international trade. All right, so be blessed, and I'm looking forward to hear from you, and see you on the other side. Be blessed.